Hi, it's Danny from Danny Sports Bar here at Pattaya, looking ahead at the week in the world of sports. And we're going to look all the way ahead to this Sunday because there's a couple of big games coming up, one in Scotland and one in England that I wanted to talk about. First, we'll go to Scotland, where the old firm Celtic and Rangers have dominated the league forever, but no team outside the top two, those Celtic and Rangers, have even won the league since 1984-85, when a man named Alex Ferguson, you might have heard from him a little bit later at Manchester United, he won the league at Aberdeen. Since then, it's all been Celtic and Rangers. And of course, all the way through history, it has been. Each of them have won the league 55 times. No one else has won it more than 4. Why is that interesting this year? Well, because here we are, a little more than halfway through the season, and Hearts, Heart of Midlothian from Edinburgh, are actually atop the Scottish League. And this Sunday at 10 o'clock, Hearts will be playing Celtic. Celtic right now second, even on points, with Rangers also second. A lot of people think one of the other Celtic or Rangers will end up winning it, that Hearts can't hold on. But this week, obviously with Hearts playing Celtic, will be a chance for Hearts to make a statement that maybe they can hold on and break the monopoly that the old firm has held over the Scottish League. So that's at 10 o'clock on Sunday. Then at 11:30 on Sunday, we'll move over to England, and more exactly to the Emirates Stadium in London, where Arsenal will play Manchester United. Arsenal obviously have been ahead in the Premier League basically the whole season. Their lead expanded last week, even though they only drew with Nottingham Forest, because the two teams chasing them, two teams closest to them, Manchester City and Aston Villa, both lost. So Arsenal actually added a point to their lead. They're ahead by 7 points now. 7 points is not an insurmountable lead at this stage in the season, but it's a big lead. And because it's a big lead, you start looking at games where Arsenal could slip up, because Arsenal haven't won the league in about 20 years, a little more than 20 years. They've had the lead in the league. They've been atop the league middle of the season, December, January, several times, but they haven't held on. So you start looking, are they going to slip up this year? This week, playing home to Manchester City is an interesting one, especially because Manchester City, they named Michael Carrick the manager for the rest of the season, and went out and truly dominated Manchester City on Saturday at the Old Trafford Stadium in Manchester. It was a very impressive performance by Man U, much better than they've done all year. They're 5th in the league. They're not going to win the league this year, but they could affect who wins it. They already took 3 points from Manchester City over the weekend. Now, can they help Manchester City out by beating Arsenal or even holding Arsenal to a draw this week at the Emirates? So those two big games. Before that, Arsenal have another interesting game. That's tonight, Tuesday night as we speak, as the UEFA Champions League returns, first time since December. We have 2 more rounds to go in the group stage of the Champions League, the league stage they call it, to determine the seedings for the knockout round. Arsenal are on top of that right now too. Arsenal will play away on Tuesday night to Inter Milan. What makes that interesting, other than the fact that Arsenal have been leading the Champions League and will be looking to have that top seed going into the knockout stage, is that Inter Milan are leading Serie A. So what we get at this stage of the Champions League is a matchup of the teams that top the Premier League and Serie A, which could be interesting to watch. Certainly the game, the most interesting game of this round, not necessarily the most important in terms of where the seedings are going, because in the Champions League, as in the Europa League, the top 8 teams will have a bye through the first playoff round. They'll go right into the round of 16. We'll see what happens now with those teams. There's a lot of teams very close in that probably 5 through 10, 5 through 12 category. There's also a lot of teams that are holding on. Only the top 24 out of the 32 teams make it to the knockout stage at all. And there's a lot of teams that need a win either this week or next week, or maybe both, to get through to the knockout stage at all, or be eliminated from the Champions League without ever getting there. In terms of the other English teams, Manchester City are playing tonight and if they win, they're guaranteed to be in the top 8. The other English teams in the league, Spurs, Liverpool, and Newcastle, they could use some wins. Newcastle and Liverpool play Wednesday night. Spurs play at home to Borussia Dortmund on Tuesday, and of course they're coming off a terrible loss over the weekend to West Ham, which a lot of people thought would be the last game potentially, the way it turned out for Thomas Frank, the manager. Spurs have decided to retain him, but it's going to be an interesting atmosphere tonight at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. A lot of people not happy with that decision, but Spurs still, if they could beat Dortmund tonight and win next week away to Frankfurt, under normal circumstances, you'd say those were possibilities. They could get even into the top 8. They certainly can get into the knockout stage, and that also goes for Liverpool and for Newcastle. Liverpool could definitely get into the top 8. So there's plenty of games. Champions League this week, Tuesday and Wednesday, Europa League on Thursday. Then we go all the European leagues over the weekend, along with, of course, the European rugby. And we have the NFL Conference Championships on Sunday night. The first game we did show the 3 a.m. game this past Sunday. It'll be the New England Patriots again in the 3 a.m. game, this time playing on the road at Denver in the AFC Championship game to try to go back to the Super Bowl. And the latter game will be the Rams and the Seahawks. We will not be showing that game. At least we don't expect to be showing that game. We will be showing the Super Bowl 2 weeks on from that, 6:30 a.m. We'll be taking reservations for that very soon. It's going to be very crowded this year. We only have the one bar instead of the 2 we had last year, but it'll still be a great party, our 8th straight Super Bowl party. So that's going on. 2 other things quickly. In Australia, the Australian Open tennis tournament, we're going through the first week this week. And in cricket, they're in the finals week of the Big Bash League, playing right now in what they call a qualifier. They'll go through until Sunday, the final at 3:15, to decide the championship of the Big Bash League. Not the biggest league ever, but it is a fairly large cricket league in Australia. It is T20 cricket, the biggest T20 cricket in Australia. So come join us. Plenty going on this week here at Danny's.